Okay, I've recently heard of something, maybe you've heard of it too. It's called flipping houses.
Go on.
So, yes, I know you met with a flipper this week.
I did, yes.
I would love to hear what you learned, because so many people talk about this. Everyone and their mother is like, hey, yeah, I want to buy a house and flip it. Sounds easy. Is it? What did you find out? Who did you meet with?
So this week I talked with Ben and Amy from Imperial Home Group here in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
They are seasoned flippers in the Nashville market. So they've been around, they've seen ups and downs in the market. I learned a ton from them. I thought it was really cool to pick their brains. They've done a lot of flips, new constructions, they do Airbnbs, all sorts of different stuff. So they're just well versed in the real estate market in general.
Okay.
I learned a lot about how they're building a brand, and not just flipping a house for the bottom line, right? They're focused on details and kind of like making the homes from Imperial Home Group stand out amongst other flippers. So it was a really cool conversation. We talked about how they get the money from lenders, how they navigate different contractors and subcontractors, how they manage those relationships. Learned a lot. I think I'm ready to flip a house.
Maybe you are?
Maybe not today, but
But you got some info on the ins and outs.
It was a really good conversation.
Okay. Can't wait to see it. Cool.
All right, welcome to Real 615. We talk about all things Nashville real estate related. I'm here with Ben and Amy Wright. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Ben and Amy are some real estate investors here in Nashville, and I'm stoked to talk to you guys. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Just to start off, why don't you tell me a little bit about what brought you to Nashville in the first place?
Well, music, of course. Music
Nice.
City, USA. We moved down here, toured with the band for like 6 years, and that was in 2003 is when we came down.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then what got you into real estate investing?
Well, it was kind of a mistake. So we lived in a band house for most of the time that we were in the band that we moved here with. And, just a bunch of people crammed in one house. And of course, we're married. And there was just a point of like, we need to get our own space. So we became our, first time home buyers. And, of course, little parental help at the time. And then we realized that the place needed some work and some love. And so we started to do little here's and there projects around the house. And then that's when the whole market crash happened. And we thought, let's try selling this bad boy and moving into another space and maybe repeating the process.
Nice.
Yeah, we bought the house at the tail end of the crash.
Yeah.
Really. We were coming off the road, and unfortunately a bunch of builders were spread too thin, and we were able to pick up a house. I think it was right before it went. I don't think it was in foreclosure. I think it was like right before it went into foreclosure. And took us 3 years to flip that, even though we didn't know we were flipping it.
Yeah.
And like she said, like my parents would come down and help, build a retaining wall or help put a fence up or whatever. And then that just, when we sold it, we were like, whoa, we could make some money doing this.
Nice.
So
So you became flippers pretty much on accident.
yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Some of the best careers end up that way.
Yeah, right.
So first house was a band house. Is that what we're saying?
Well, we
rented
rented and
it.
we didn't really do a whole lot to that.
Okay.
Little paint here and there by the permission of the landlord.
Okay.
But really not enough to.
So what community was your first purchase in?
It was in East Nashville,
Nice.
right over there where the pharmacy and Mas Tacos is at. Before the pharmacy and Mas Tacos was there. It was
Okay.
It was a little sketchy.
pretty
though.
rough, yeah.
Yeah. I just
Re-
got hungry
but-
when you said the pharmacy. That's
Yeah. Great neighbors, It was a really good experience, but yeah, could be considered a little rough still at that point.
This was about 2009?
2003.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Got you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
2009. We moved here in 2003. Hey, you're right.
Got you.
2009.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I was like, man, different market crash. Sweet. So walk me through that first property. How did you choose it? Was it just kind of random at that point? Did you know what you were getting into, or?
Well, after looking we looked at like 60 houses with our real estate agent.
Felt like 60.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, no,
really.
that's a lie. But it
A lot
felt
of
like,
houses.
yeah,
There's a lot.
there's a lot of patience involved.
Sure, yeah.
And then I think we just wanted something that was not too much overhead and, had good bones and didn't really need a whole lot of work. We wanted it move-in ready.
Mhm.
And then that's kind of how we started it.
We got really fortunate because we were looking at some really nasty houses that smelled awful, and again, this is our first home, and I know a little bit about construction in houses. I grew up around that, but I didn't ever do construction as a job. I was a flooring guy for a while, but I think in hindsight, if we would have got some of those houses that we looked at that needed a full gut or like a kitchen remodel, all that, we probably wouldn't be here today. We probably would have given up at that point.
Sure.
But the house that we bought, it was built in late 90s, early 2000s, and we did it didn't need anything. It didn't need plumbing, electrical, all that stuff. It just needed updated.
Holistic.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it was perfect. It was perfect for us, for a first time home buyer. Yeah.
Awesome. And so have you stayed mostly in the East Nashville market, or have you guys kind of spread your wings all throughout Nashville, or where are you focused?
Mostly East Nashville, Inglewood. We've done like one in Madison, one in Madison. We just finished one in Franklin. And then we did a couple remodels in places out in Gatlinburg as well.
Nice.
So.
And so when you're looking for flips, what are you looking for? What are you looking on the MLS? Do you have somebody out there kind of searching for you, or how do you find your properties?
Well, it's a combination of things. Like, I think we both kind of look for different things.
Sure.
Of course, location. If it has, I personally like to find a house that has an unfinished something. So whether it's an unfinished basement or the footprint the footprint itself can be like, maybe there's a porch that we can enclose, or something that's already existing that just needs the square footage that we can easily add to it. That's one thing. And I think our business model over time has become something that becomes like an income producing potential. So say there's like a basement that's unfinished. It's like, oh, let's make this into something where the home buyer can actually afford their house and have their mortgage paid for. So it's like setting them up for financial success. And that's kind of become our business model over time.
That's great. So looking for something where you can add value.
Yes.
And then also give the buyer something that is income producing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think it's so important, especially nowadays, like, just protecting, like giving the buyer something to protect themselves with if there is a downturn and they lose their jobs, or, not this last house we sold is set up that way. Even the one before that, that we sold, it was a remodel, and the couple that bought it, they were having a baby. Mom and dad were getting older, and one of them was ill. So it was perfect for the parents to move into the basement level. It was easy for them to get into. They would be able to help with the baby, and the kids would be able to help with the grandparents as they aged. It's a perfect setup. That's
Nice.
We like doing that. I feel like we're contributing to.
It's good. I mean, that's what, anybody can kind of flip a house. Well, not anybody, but you can flip a house and make a little bit of money. But I think the thing that keeps you going back to it and, keeps you working in the field is probably the fact that you can add value to people's lives and actually make the world a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I think so, yeah.
For your flips, do you work with contractors? You said you did some flooring. Do you have a general contractor that you work with, or what's that process look like?
Yeah, so we have a general contractor that helps us out. I've done all of them with him, and then I pretty much run the jobs, run the show or whatever. Amy will sit down and sketch out an idea of what she wants. We do new construction as well, so there's been some sketches on like napkins while we're sitting having
Nice.
Dinner somewhere,
Awesome.
and then she turns it over to the guy that draws up our plans for us, and he brings it to life, and then I get to manage the day-to-day and try to carry out what she sees in her head.
Awesome. So it's been the same general contractor the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. It's a great relationship.
It is, yeah.
Maybe one piece of advice, if someone's looking to hire a general contractor, what should they look for?
Man.
Someone who definitely cares about the situation. Someone who's real, someone who will not underbid and not overbid something. It's like you want to not be surprised by money in the end. So.
Yeah, our relationship with Bobby has been really good because he's not such a big contractor that we just get lost in the mix, I trust him. I got him as a referral from another guy that flips and builds houses. So that meant a lot to me coming from a friend as a referral like that. He's just been good to us, we're always able to do what we see. You know what I mean? Like he's always able to help us accomplish what we wanted to do.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's cool to have that relationship that's been lasting so long. I hear so many nightmare stories from investors that have worked with contractors that haven't gone well. So it's nice that you guys have that.
We've not had that with anyone really.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
Cool. So if someone, let's talk about maybe like a first-time investor, someone who's thinking about getting into it. One piece of advice that has stuck with you over the years, maybe something that you wish you knew before you started off. What advice could you give somebody?
If they're just wanting to get into it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe something you wish you knew before you started that.
Takes twice or 3 times as long as you expect.
That's not true.
It's true.
Okay.
It's true. If you get a time frame, expect it to be doubled.
Okay.
And if you do have an amount that is an estimate, plan for 10% more at least.
10% buffer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think twice as long.
Twice as long.
Yeah. Well, you can buffer for twice as long. And then it comes to failures.
Yeah. I think for me it's networking. I wish I would have got out and networked a whole lot sooner than I did. You know, that's what I feel like. That's what I'm good at. You know, that's what I can bring to the table, as well as manage the day-to-day stuff. But yeah, networking, just getting out there and meeting people. They're, you know, learning how to do more creative financing stuff. You know, like there are people out there that just loan money for a living that aren't banks. You know what I mean? Just like a guy that drives a nondescript old truck and all he does is lend money to people, you know? But you're not going to find that just, you know, I don't think if you're not really looking for it and networking, you know?
Yeah.
So I think I wish I would have done that more intentionally sooner.
So that leads into another question I was going to ask. Do y'all work with private capital? Do you work with your own money? Do you work with a hard money lender? Or how does that?
We've done our own private and traditional.
All of them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've never done like hard money. You know, there's a difference between hard money and private money, and I've never done the hard money stuff. I've always done just private, you know, family, which, you know, if you're going to work with family, make sure that is, you talk about all that stuff ahead of time, because, you know, you don't want the Christmas ham to taste funny because something went wrong, you know.
As long as communication is good and you feel, you know, you have that, I think it was for at least for us, it was smooth sailing. You know, we're completely transparent.
That's great.
So, you know.
And then we've had, you know, honestly, we borrowed a big chunk of change from a friend of ours, as a bridge loan. You know, we went over, I forget which project that was, but we went over on our budget, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, and I was borrowing money from my parents, and it was like, nope, that's it. You know, you got to figure this out. You know, like basically, I told them, hey, I just need, you know, $20,000 more, and I'll get this wrapped up. And then I didn't get it wrapped up, and I kept missing the mark on it, which was a big learning experience for me. And you know, just reached out to a friend. I had no idea, or did he reach out? Maybe he reached out to me. I think that's what it was. He reached out to me saying, hey, I'd love to invest. I was like, perfect timing.
That's
so
awesome.
he gave us a bridge loan to wrap up this project. So it's just crazy, you know, when you get out there and start talking to people, and because, you know, we've always been taught you don't talk about money publicly, and it's kind of, you know, off the table, and don't, you know, I feel differently about that now, because I would love for people to learn a way that they can increase the quality of their life, financially speaking, you know. So I don't care, you know, to talk about it or not. If you want to, fine. If not, it's fine.
It's weird that it's so taboo. It's like,
Right.
it shouldn't be something.
No, that's how you learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you can't learn from my mistakes, you know.
Well, by having a group of people also that are kind of making mistakes on their own and then coming together to talk about them, you're able to amplify and kind of learn significantly faster, because you're learning from 4 times as many mistakes or 5 times as many mistakes.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like masterminds and stuff like that are so important for people, because they, you know, you can only make so many mistakes on your own before you don't have any more money to make mistakes. So if you can learn 5 times as fast, it's way better.
Yeah.
And going back to what you asked, something I wish I would have learned earlier on, with that networking thing, now I'm thinking about it a little more, the best decision I ever made business-wise in this is hiring coaches. I always have a coach that I'm paying for something,
Nice.
you know. and maybe to some people that's a waste and you can learn on your own. Sure, you probably can. I couldn't. I don't feel. I mean, maybe I could have, but I feel like it accelerated the learning curve, and like you're saying, getting around the mastermind kind of group.
I think the coaching world gets a bad stigma just from people that don't know what they're talking about, that have never been a part of it. I think everybody that I've actually talked to that is in the coaching world and that goes to the masterminds and actually does succeed at the higher level does have a coach, and the coaches have coaches, and
right.
It's not like it's a guru type thing. You're literally just in a circle of people that are holding you accountable.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
And you think about Tiger Woods, arguably the best golfer to come around, he still has coaches.
Yeah, of course.
So if he needs a coach, surely I could use one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Okay, let's take a little turn. Amy, what are some of Ben's strengths that he brings to the table?
Here we go.
Well, he does think a lot. He thinks he thinks all the time and brainstorms all the time. And sometimes it's like, I feel like we're very squirreled, because it's like, maybe we should try this, maybe we should try that, maybe we should try this. But I think he's just flushing out options and, kind of trying to figure out like what's the best move right now. So I think that's one of his strengths. And another one is he does love people. So connecting with people, I think he loves to reach out, see where they're at, see what he can learn, what he can give. And, those are probably the two strongest places that I see him.
That's awesome.
Shine.
So when you're flipping a home, is there more to it than just the money? Are you guys looking at specific neighborhoods because you want to actually make them better, or what kind of goes into it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I love a smelly house. You know what I mean? Like it's like, back in the day when we first started, like $40,000 has a particular smell.
Mm-hmm.
So, just thinking, okay, if the structure is good, how can we make this house into something that is a home that someone loves? And how can we make this, like, whether it has a bad feel to it or whatever, I'm not to try to be, like, really hippy-dippy about it, but sometimes areas don't feel good. And it's like, well, but that can change, and it's like there's people that need homes. There's people that need affordable, neighborhoods. It's not, our scope so far has been kind of all over the map. It started off in like cheaper neighborhoods and sketchy neighborhoods, but over time I think we're always looking for something to improve and something that, when we're doing a house, what would we like about this house? What would we like to feel when we're living here? And sometimes to the point where if I don't feel like I want to move in that house, I know we missed the mark.
Sure.
So at the very end, if I'm not like, okay, Ben, should we move into this house? I know I did something wrong. That happened like once or twice, where I'm like, we probably could have made some different decisions, but you learn from that too.
So you want to have a little FOMO at the end, like,
absolutely.
Wish this was our place.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like the last house we just sold in Franklin, she kept asking like, should we move into this? And it was great. The only downside for me was the parking area wasn't big enough for like my trailer and my truck. We have a bus that we're converting to an off-grid RV. I just didn't have enough parking space for it. But like the location, getting into, if you wanted to get into Williamson County, it was a fairly decent price point to do that.
Sure.
Walk to the factory.
Yeah, the factory was not far away.
Nice.
Like if that's what you want, But again, it just the drawback for us was, not being able to have the parking that we need to run our business and for fun. Yeah.
And we've done, since we've been doing this, every 2 years we've moved into a different house.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the longest we lived in the house. It's like going on 3 years maybe. 3 years? Almost 4 years.
Yeah, January will be 4 years.
So I think it's just, after a while you don't want to move every 2 years anymore as well.
Yeah.
But the benefit of moving every 2 years, which you probably know, this is the tax benefit that you get.
Mm-hmm.
You live in that primary residence. You stay in it for 2 years, you sell it, and all the profit you made off that is all tax free.
Yeah.
I forget what the cap is on that, but we've done that 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, we try to encourage our friends. If you're working on your house that you're paying on, consider moving in 2 years.
Yeah.
It's a pain, but you can get pretty far ahead.
Well, it's just a lifestyle you kind of need to commit to. I think my wife and I do a similar thing, or we have up until this house. We're now coming on 2.5 years in this spot, but we've done something similar. We move in and just, they're not flips, but just value add as we live there naturally.
Yeah.
You make places better, hopefully. But yeah, I would love to go back and ask you maybe some of Amy's strengths that you think she brings to the table.
her creativity, that I think that just is. I mean, she's a creative person, so some of the ideas that she comes up with are challenging, but they're good. They push us. They push me. They push the guy that draws up our plans for us. They push, the guys to execute. Like we had a house, a new house that we built. She had this crazy idea that she wanted to, walk into this foyer area and then to step up one step to like the main living area. And right when you step up there, you look up and there's this like 8 foot by 8 foot hole in the second floor. So the hallway goes around it and the bedrooms break off and the bathrooms and laundry room and all that break off of that. And then it went to like a 17-foot vaulted ceiling. It was just gigantic.
Nice.
And I was like, all right, I mean, I guess it'll work. I don't know, but then that goes back to, there's a book called Who Not How, and I didn't have to figure out how to do it. I had to figure out who could do it.
That's great, yeah.
And then once we figured that out, and then in hindsight, you're like, we could do that again.
Sure.
And
It's
probably
awesome.
better. But yeah, she pushes me because I could just be inside the box of like, just do it well, get
Gray
it done.
all day.
No, not gray. I'm over. That could be. I can leave that or take that. But like, yeah, she. It's the creativity. It's her care. It's her care that she puts into, from the beginning to the end. Even at the end, like if we're doing final cleaning, she'll walk through and just like do blessings through the house.
Oh, that's nice. That's awesome.
Which is cool, yeah. Because we want people to have a trouble-free home for years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's
Set off some good karma in the world.
yeah.
We all need it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you have any kind of golden rule on the financial side that you follow? Like any kind of, when you're looking at a place, whatever, it's X amount of dollars. After repair, it's going to be worth so much. Do you have a specific rule that you follow, or do you kind of just wing it per project, or
like a percentage of profit kind of thing?
Sure.
So we'd stay in like relatively the same price point of houses. We're not doing like we haven't built $1 million+ house yet. You know what I mean, or anything like that. So what it takes for us to buy a house and build them and sell them at the $500,000 to $700,000, $750,000 and around there. I try to make $10,000 a month that I'm holding per house.
Okay.
So if I'm buying a lot and we take down the old house and put up 2 new ones, I want to make $10,000 per month per house, so $20,000 a month. When that is what I try to shoot for. This last one in Franklin, we bought it, and then the market took its dip, and interest rates went up and all that stuff. So we were, at that point, and I brought a partner in on that one, a friend. He's like my number one sub, and I wanted to bring him in on it and just get him a little more into the action, of it. And so then I was thinking, all right, so that's like $5,000 a month for each of us if that's my role, and that'll still be good because then I can still work on other things, focus on other things. And then that just didn't, with the interest rates going up and slowing things down, that one didn't work out. But
That was going to be my next question. Is that have you ever ended a project upside down?
This was the one upside down, and there was one that was almost break even.
Yeah, there was one years ago. I forget what year it was. There was one that we worked 6 months on it, and I only made $12,000, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
And the problem was, Amy mentioned earlier about houses. I forget if you said it they smell, or they smell different. A $40,000 house smells different. Well, this one didn't stink. It was clean, but it was grandma's house.
Mm-hmm.
So we paid too much for it, but we had to tear everything out to update it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just like, should have passed on that one, but
So it's too nice of a house, basically.
it was,
Yeah.
So you guys looking for the ugliest houses you can find?
pretty much, yeah.
I mean,
Or undone. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Half baked.
And do you have a specific, like if somebody wanted to reach out, do you have like a website or something that they can go to, or how do you kind of find your properties?
Give us a call.
Imperial Home Group is
Imperial Home Group's
yeah,
name,
it's
okay.
company, yeah. So Facebook or
Awesome.
Just Ben at imperialhomegroup.com.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any horror stories from over the years, aside from losing a little bit of money?
No, not. You know what? I can't think of anything. I think sometimes it's not really a horror story, but I think it's just learning over time. And like you're going to hit snags in what you're doing, whatever your craft is. You're going to hit snags. But it's like, if you don't try, then you won't know. So it's just a matter of like, okay, hit the ground running, learn things as you can. Learn things from people around you. Be ready to accept whatever that is and pick yourself up and keep moving, And I think what we're learning, we definitely want people to feel empowered enough. Like if you're listening to this, if you're like unsure, but you're curious to try it, you try it. You won't know, and you might be really awesome at it, and you might be like, okay, I can bring a little bit, I don't know, better this or that to the house, or maybe I'll give it a whirl of trying it out as a short-term rental unit or something like that. You just don't know.
Nice.
So we just keep trying.
Just dive in.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add before we take off here? Any pieces of advice and wisdoms you've learned over the years?
No, I don't think so. Just like Amy said, just try it. Just make a plan and go for it. The real estate world, what I found, I haven't met anyone that isn't willing to help. People love talking about themselves. I love this. I love being able to talk about what we do.
Yeah.
Be careful though. I will say this: be careful. Don't offer to buy someone a cup of coffee if they're, if you're not really like gonna follow through with what they, like, hey, can I buy a cup of coffee? Buy a cup of coffee and pick your brain a little bit, and then you go, yeah, sure, and you lay out these things like do this, this, and this, and then 6 months later, that person's off to the next shiny object. It's like,
sure,
I was really wanting to help.
Yeah.
Really wanted to share with you what I learned, and
And it's like why those masterminds are great, because you're with people that you're deterring some of the people that aren't very serious by charging.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't know until like you have that cup of coffee. You don't know if you're serious or not.
Sure.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Like we didn't know we were serious in the beginning when we looked at like 40, 60 some houses. We're just like we wanted to live somewhere.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to break us.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about the development and the neighborhood changes in Nashville over like the last 8 to 10 years? What's it been like?
It's been crazy. It's been drastic for sure. How do I feel? I honestly have mixed feelings about it. Obviously we've benefited greatly from the growth of Nashville. I do understand how it's caused some people, maybe cause some obstacles for other people, maybe first-time home buyers to get in because of the price increases so much. I like how diverse the city has become. As far as like restaurants and stuff like that. Not that we go out much anymore, but a few years ago when we still were going out, like I enjoy that side of it.
That's not true. We went out for lunch today.
Nice. Where'd you guys go?
It's that sushi place.
Down here by Exit, I Love Sushi or something like that.
Okay, nice.
Had some ramen on a cold, wet day. It's good.
It's a good ramen day.
Yeah.
I actually have thoughts on that too.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's okay. I like what the changes that are happening in Nashville. I think there's good and bad personally. The good thing is that a lot of the areas that need work are being more polished. They're being brought up. But it's also taking some nostalgic places out that people think are more of like a historical presence in the city. Even in like the east side, it used to be so trendy to live in East Nashville that it's kind of become unaffordable for people that have small budgets. So that in itself is pushing people closer to like Madison and North Nashville and stuff like that. But those are places that have room for growth. So that can be a great thing. Usually where you find the artistic crew that doesn't have as big of a budget, and I'm saying this because we used to be musicians that were sleeping on people's floors. So it's like, we didn't have maybe as much to work with, but I feel like that turnover happens. You see those independent businesses happening where the artistic community is. So there can be a win-win there as well. I like when there's independent businesses versus big chains. That matters to me,
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me sad when I see that those are pushed out.
Well, that was one of my favorite things coming to Nashville the first time was just, I remember going back and telling my friends in Los Angeles, I was like, there isn't even a Starbucks. Like,
Right.
it's amazing. You can go and there's like, you don't see Target, not that there's anything wrong with Target or Starbucks, I'm not that hip, but still, it was nice to see like, oh, if I'm going to get coffee, I'm going to go to a person that has a coffee shop and actually, you know,
Exactly.
patronize their business. It's
Yeah.
cool to see that what you mentioned, it makes sense, like the artists kind of go to the lower budget area and then that becomes a big budget area because the money wants to go where the art is
Right.
and then
Exactly.
the artists are pushed out, which sucks.
Yeah.
What parts of greater Nashville area do you guys prefer to flip in and why? What are some of your favorite areas?
Well, Greater Nashville, we've only done like Madison and Franklin, and I like both of them for different reasons. You know, I like Franklin because it seems like the older I get, the more I want to move out of the city. You know, and just like get into a little more, you know, little smaller setting and all that. So that's why Franklin appeals to me myself. Madison appeals to me because there are a lot of artists moving out that way, and there's, you know, independent coffee shops, and, you know, it's still a little more affordable. You know, I'd say if someone's looking for, you know, first time home buyer on a you know, moderate or modest budget, I would say that's where you'd have to, you know, look.
Gotcha.
You know, if you still want to be, you know, a 15-minute drive to Nashville or whatever.
Yeah. Amy, any thoughts?
I don't know. I guess I'm one of those people. There's a little bit of every area that I love, right? I can find like, okay, I like this about Franklin. I like this about East Nashville. I like this about North Nashville. Like wherever, you know. I just think that there's little gems everywhere, and also reasons why I would choose. I mean, I can see myself building or renovating in any of those areas.
Okay, it's a little more personal here. So let's say we got friends visiting Nashville. Where are you taking them for lunch?
Not
Where are you not taking them?
Not where?
I don't want to go to the Opryland Hotel one more time. I mean, it's beautiful. My sister was just in town.
Yeah.
She loves Christmas. She's like an elf, you know, so it's like we have to go. Well, I mean, she's not an elf, but she's kind of like an elf.
Okay, wait, we gotta cut that.
But we have to go to all of the staples that have like super festive holiday things. I like going to the small, I don't know, the mom and pops areas and the coffee shops that are not Starbucks. And
Lunch, I think if someone's coming to town, depends what they want, but Mas Tacos is always at the top of the list for lunch.
Nice.
What else? I mean, if you want pizza, of course, 5 Points Pizza. We love 5 Points Pizza.
and our friends work there, so
Nice.
you know.
Yeah.
The best pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
good. You guys been to Monell's?
Yes.
Love Monell's.
Yes.
I've not ever
You-
been there.
You
I've
can't,
been here.
You can't go there unless you're like ready for 2 more belt
Yeah,
sizes.
it's a nap. Like
Yes.
you get a hotel room next door maybe and just
Yeah.
and sleep afterwards. It's so much food. But it's so good.
But it's like what I like about Monell's is you sit down and you're like, I don't know who they are, but we're all here to eat, and you
Yeah.
pass the bowls, you know. So that's
It's
kind
like
of fun.
Benihana has that a little bit, but Monell's takes it to the next level where you actually have to participate with the people. Benihana's kind of like, oh, I order with my chef, and then you're here too, but I'm just talking to the chef. But Monell's, it's like, I need green beans, and that guy has them. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
green beans.
And you're like, I want what's in front of you.
Yeah. So if y'all had a friend moving to Nashville, their budget's $600,000, what area would you suggest?
Our neighborhood.
Nice.
Come live beside us.
Yeah. We like our neighborhood for the most part, but I think you can still get, I mean, you would know more since you're a realtor, but I think you can still find something for $600 in like Inglewood. I love Inglewood.
Yeah.
Like the Rosebank, Inglewood area.
Yeah.
And the Greenway.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you've got 2 dogs like we do, you know, you want places to walk to. You don't want it to feel, you know, like there's only sidewalks and no green.
Yeah.
Because you can, you know, if you get out there into that Inglewood and Rosebank area, you can get, you know, a half acre, you know, maybe to an acre of land or whatever, and that's what we like, you know. I mean, I'm sure there are some people that want to live downtown too, you know, but yeah, that's where I would direct them.
Nice. And my first purchase in Nashville was in Inglewood.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Baxter.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's see. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you've made? Let's not say some. Let's say what's one of the biggest mistakes y'all have made?
Okay, so I will say the one house was on Kingswood Avenue. It wasn't really a mistake, but it could have been. The exterior paint color. We had like 3 or 4 different and very close
It was
colors.
amazing. The exterior was amazing.
But to get to that point and to not be confused which paint color went to what part, And we actually did, it wasn't like a particular color from Sherwin-Williams. It was like, okay, they added a little bit more blue. Okay, they added a little bit more green. It wasn't like I was just so fussy about it to the point where replicating that was just a nightmare if you wanted to touch it up.
Gotcha.
So that was a paint mistake for me. But that's, I think differently than you. What was yours?
Oh man, I don't know. There's so many. No, I'm kidding. I can't think of any that were like detrimental to business.
Sure.
I can't think of any that were.
Well, good. That's a blessing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Good.
We've always had good people on our team. I feel like we've been really fortunate. You know, like we were talking about, like I've been using the same general contractor, and then I've gotten to know all the subs as well because they're the same subs. I think I've only ever changed one sub. I only ever let one sub go, and that was the plumber. And after that, I've been with the same plumber, one or two plumbers. I used two different ones. And I can't think of it doesn't mean that we nailed it. I'm sure if I could think of it more.
Sure, but nothing like huge that you really... Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So this is maybe more an Amy question. Do you find that when you take more artistic risks, is that beneficial, or do you suggest that people kind of stay more towards the traditional?
Well, I will always pick something that's a little bit more, taste specific. So, and maybe it's just because I like it, because I want to do something that I like, right?
Okay.
And then maybe someone doesn't want coral trim. It wasn't really peach, it was more like a canyon clay color. I'm just letting someone out there know. a canyon clay. But I think that even if the paint color is wrong,
it can be changed.
Well, that's something that people can change.
Yeah.
If they come through the house, they remember that, good or bad, right? It's like...
Even in the negotiation side of it, they're like, we love the house, but that trim color's awful. Okay, well, then ask us about it. Maybe we'll change it.
$400 paint budget. Here you go.
Yeah.
But I do love busy tile. I like repeat that busy tile till it's almost like wallpaper. You know what I mean? There's just something soothing to me to see like something like that.
That's cool.
I try to do one kind of crazier or busier thing in every house. So even if everything is kind of like, Ben's like, we need to keep it a little bit more like calm. I'm like, okay, we'll keep most of the house calm, but I want like one area to go,
Tie-dyed mantle.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you have to be flexible as flippers and builders. I think you have to be flexible depending on what the market is. 3 years ago, you could do whatever you want. Someone will buy it because there's so many people that, the market was just flooded with buyers. It's the law of averages, right? Like you just like throw this out there and someone's gonna like it. Mm-hmm. Maybe as things get, as the things sit on the market longer or the buyer pool shrinks, you might have to be a little more conservative in design. I don't know. As I say that, I don't know, but that's what my gut says.
I've always operated under the pretense, like, if I like something, just law of averages, if I like something, there's got to be someone else that's going to like it.
Yeah.
I'm not that much of an anomaly with any of my tastes or whatever, Even if I don't like something, if I hate it, then someone probably loves it,
Yeah.
Well, Ben, Amy, thank you so much for joining me, talking about your flips.
Thank
it's
you.
awesome. ImperialHomeGroup.com.
Yep.
Awesome. Guys, Burial 615, thanks for watching. Thanks to our sponsors, Scout Realty, Mission of Truth, and Ben Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.